Hey guys, another episode of Pop Culture Minefield with Keith
and Gerry.
And we're here to talk about nerd stuff. In this episode, we're going to be doing some cool stuff. One, we got a segment from our producer, Craig. Yeah. And he might be poking a little fun at more than just Keith and I, because he usually pokes fun at us. But it looks like he's going to be poking fun at some other people. You're going to enjoy it. Two, we're going to be talking about the... not just the Variety article, what they're addressing in their article about franchise fatigue. And you're going to hear our general opinion on, well, that concept. And other than that, what else are we going to talk about today?
We'll just keep it to that.
Well, just keep it that?
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot to talk
We'll keep it to that.
Yeah.
With that, titles, roll them!
From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gary Kissel.
We're back! Hey guys, look, we've got some exciting stuff here, but before we actually start our little rants and discussion, let's see what the heck Craig sent us.
Greetings, Earthlings, Nanu Nanu, or whatever it is you kids are saying these days. Commander Robert April here, we'll talk about that another time, with your Star Trek update. The internet's been abuzz this past week with rumors that Discovery showrunner, producer, and general Star Trek Big Cheese Alex Kurtzman was ousted from his post at CBS thanks to dubious but highly entertaining sources like Midnight's Edge and Nerdrotic. Now, fellas, Starfleet is a promise. We don't run on gossip and innuendo. We believe in service, sacrifice, compassion, and love. I don't know where I was going with that, but it sounded really cool when Pike said it. But here's the thing. We wanted to get to the bottom of this, so we went straight to the horse's mouth. Do you have that ready? Here, via subspace, we have Riker. What is it again? Riker. We have Commander Riker. Open hailing frequencies. Commander Riker, my old friend, good to see you. Tell me, is there any truth to these rumors we keep hearing that Alex Kurtzman has been fired at CBS?
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer. Not this time. It never happened. It's false. It never happened. It's a fake. It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened. No way. We got you. Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. We made this one up. It's fiction. We made up this one. We made it up. Not this time. Wrong. Not this time. Not this time. You're wrong. Not this time. It never happened.
So there you have it. Frakes, I prefer a certain formality on my bridge. Next time I expect to see you in regulation uniform. April out. So there you go. And like I keep telling you, Gary, Keith, stop contacting me on this frequency. April out. Was it good? Was it good? Did I seem really drunk? Because I felt really wet.
That was pretty funny, but I should say that the opinions of our producer are not necessarily those of ours.
Solid.
We love you, Craig. Thanks, man. He's a hoot. He is a hoot. I know that Susan saw it too, and she was laughing her butt off. Anyway, thanks, Craig. I look forward to him doing stuff like that because it just He's so original with the way he does things. He's
He
been like
is.
this when we were kids,
He-
you know?
Makes me feel like I'm just not dressed well enough.
Exactly. Star Trek, Starfleet uniform. Commander Robert April. Got demoted there, did you? Party boy. All right, let's get into this. Thanks, Craig. Variety published an article. It was a bit snarky. Did you read it?
Yeah.
It was a bit snarky, and I appreciated the like Craig. I like snark when it's done correctly. And basically, it's the whole concept of franchise fatigue is the greatest hokum. It's snake oil.
Yeah.
Hollywood snake oil. It's bullshit. It's absolute fucking bullshit. It's garbage. And this isn't just me. He believes this shit too.
Since Star Trek Nemesis, when Rick Berman tried to sell everybody on that whole Trek fatigue thing, when Nemesis didn't do well at the box office.
Yeah, that's just, it's what it is it's a mixture of both laziness and an unwillingness to admit you're freaking wrong. That your marketing strategy didn't work, or worse, your story idea sucked. And really, when it comes down to like that film in particular, there were just problems from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Nemesis. The one previous to that also did poorly. Because it would have been a great episode of Star Trek. Terrible idea for a film.
That's right.
And it's sort of and Nemesis was having all kinds of conflict on set with the production. Yeah. And I feel really bad for Jonathan Frakes because he did the best he could. He always does. Great director. But he was getting hamstrung every which way. Mm-hmm. So now we come to some of the stuff that's going on now. We're hearing right now, and I don't know if this is true or not. Keith will tell you. Toy Story is already being called some sort of financial failure because he said it's only brought in, or it's 80 million below expectation. But take it away. You'd say,
yeah, Toy Story as of right now has been a film that has managed to make. Let me get the right data here because I don't want to get this wrong. But Toy Story, according to box office estimates at this point, has made. Oops, got the wrong chart on there. Kind of helps if I have the correct one.
Right. He's looking at Box Office Mojo.
There we go.
It's a site that he and I swear by when we look up info.
Yeah, it is the best site to look up any type of
and
info.
And IMDb is right next to it. In my opinion, they get their numbers pretty right. And the thing I like about it more than box office is it'll have the budget on there. A lot of times you can't find the budget on box office.
That's right.
Mojo.
So Toy Story right now is the 14th highest grossing film of 2019. With a total box office having been released just this past Friday. And it's now beginning of the week, or Tuesday, I should say.
Right.
It's $244 million worldwide. I'm not
opening weekend. I think that's pretty good.
I think that's better than Dark Phoenix, which
is part of the package that we are going to talk about.
Yeah.
Films that were absolute failures at the box office.
$232 million in the time that it has been out, and it's got to make a lot more than that in order to just break even because of how everything was handled. Fox.
So, let's put this into perspective. Anybody who comes at you saying box office, franchise fatigue, you look at them and you go, so what you're telling me is all these different franchises are suffering the exact same fatigue around the same time. That's interesting. Not.
Yeah.
You're dealing with rubbish when you hear something like that. What you've got is Men in Black tanked. Well, we kind of knew that was going to happen. We kept looking and going, there's nothing interesting about this.
Yeah.
And I am a big fan of the comics. I love the original films, and I love Chris Hemsworth. I think he's hilarious. But not one trailer was a turn on. Not one.
Yeah.
And then you get was it Phoenix? I hated it from day one. You actually liked that first trailer, but then after the first trailer, you're like, what's that you liked it? I remember your phrasing was, it looks like maybe they're onto something.
Maybe.
And then the second trailer came out, and he's like, he reneged on that and was like, nah, it's not going to work. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still unimpressed. And then nobody wanted to see it because it's a crap film. And then, of course, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, which is Star Wars. Because, once again, the Fandom Menace did its job. But the fact is, they don't want to keep not seeing Star Wars. So they punished Solo, a Star Wars story, for what they really hated was The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They couldn't punish it because it was too late. It was already done. But it had been punished on its own because it was nowhere near expectation on what it brought in. Oh, it made bunches of money. It did not make what Disney wanted. Nor did it sell any toys. And the merchandising is where Star Wars makes most of its bang. Okay? So we have all these failures, and you're going to say it's franchise fatigue. Well, each one of those is a different franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So which franchise is fatiguing? Now, what it is there's an absolute shit movie fatigue. People are tired of shitty movies.
That's right.
They want good entertainment. They don't want to be preached at. They don't want to be told how to feel. They want to feel it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a problem that Keith's talked about in the past with Star Trek under Kurtzman. Kurtzman doesn't know how to write real drama to make you care about characters. What he does is he writes new scenes that shows the characters reacting, and that's supposed to key you in on feeling that.
Which is not really how Star Trek should work.
Nor how humans work. We don't work
right.
that way.
It's look, I may have my problems with Star Trek Discovery, but as I've often said, they have the largest budget of any Star Trek series ever. And you have a phenomenal cast. When you really look at all the actors and actresses they have for that show, this show should be one of the best shows on TV. Period.
Yeah.
And it's not. It is just, it's a lot of money being thrown at it to make it look pretty. It's a pretty mess, is what it is.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. And the only shining thing that came out of first season, was about 4 to 5 episodes with Captain...
Joju.
No, the other guy that ended up being the villain.
Captain Pike was season 2.
Yeah, I'm talking about first season. What was that captain's name?
Lorca.
Lorca.
Yeah.
You know, and what did I say? I said this, and my buddy Travis, who's been a guest on our show before, he heard me say it. I said, got a cool character. He's a male. He's a military guy. You know, he's going to be the villain. You like him too much. He's too cool. And was it 5, 6 episodes in? It's like, oh, yeah, he's the villain. Yeah, he's the bad guy. And then they confirm it by episode 11. And I'm like, I already knew that like 5 episodes earlier because he was just too freaking cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, second season, you got Pike. And Pike was, even though he was hamstrung by bad writing, Anson Mount is so freaking good.
He again, I think you had said this. It's like he's the only person on the show that knows he's on a Star Trek series.
Yeah.
And everybody else is doing a way different show than what he was doing.
Yeah, they're doing something else. He's doing Star Trek, and it's like, oh my God. I hope that somebody shits out enough brains to freaking bring him back as Pike and do a show on that, because that is what fans want to see. That's what fans, and we're fans, want to see.
Kurtzman's just dragging his backside.
We're done with Disco. Disco's dead, baby. Disco's dead. But anyway, going back to this whole thing, to sum this all up, is Hollywood buys too much of its own bullshit. And what were you saying, that they're too big to fail?
Yeah.
That's basically summing up what you said.
Yeah.
Is too big to fail. They just absolutely, they're like, we don't want to listen to you. You were saying this earlier. It's like, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, when it came to like comics and stuff, when DC and Marvel first started trying to make their stuff as films, the attitude of the people that worked in Hollywood was, hey, we got this. We totally get this. We know how to make movies. You guys just sit back, relax, let us do what we do. And you got what you got, from the 1940s on up until really 1978.
And when you say the 40s, you're referring to the serials and stuff.
I'm referring to everything. The Columbia films.
Oh, all films.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Superman to the original Captain Marvel films with Shazam.
Oh, but we're still talking superhero stuff.
Yes.
That's what I was qualifying.
And all of that. All of it, all the way up to about 1978, where you had Superman the movie. But what that proved is that, the studios like to interfere. And again, Superman the movie is one of the best examples of how you can have a director and a group of producers that see things completely differently and how it can affect a movie. And that, again, that's one of the weird things about people's reactions to all the stories that you hear about Zack Snyder with what he went through. If you can understand and buy what happened in 1978, you should be able to buy and understand what happened in 2017.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing. And then in between all that are the Fox X-Men films. And that was just a complete shit show.
Yeah, it's a shit show. With occasional moments of genuine goodness.
Yes.
But it was a majority of crap.
Yeah. Behind the scenes. Look.
It's like one of those tins of popcorn.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever wants to eat that one.
Yeah.
There's always that one bin that you don't eat, but everyone wants to eat the caramel or the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one just gets neglected. And that's the X-Men under Sheila Donner and what's his name. They just...
Under Fox, overall, it's just been a shit show. And that's the main reason why those of us that are really down with what the MCU is looking at probably doing with the X-Men, that's my real motivation. I gave Fox the better part of 19 years to get their act together, and they couldn't do it. They could not do it. So, and that was way too nice. Usually 2-3 films, I'm out.
Yeah, he was talking earlier about the X-Men and that Phoenix ranked in at number 12 on the budget. I'm like, number 12? Well, how many movies did they make? That's not a very good spot at all.
Yeah, it's
number
actually
12.
Yeah, 12 X-Men films from Fox.
That's
and it
not
ranks
good.
Number 12.
So, going back, it's like basically, because I wrote it down here to remind myself, is that Hollywood it tends to be detached from reality. They buy way too much of their own bullshit. That's not just on the executive level. That's also includes the actors. That's why you hear them saying just so much dumb stuff. And they don't have anybody tell them, you probably shouldn't say that. It's probably not the smartest thing to say. Because they don't have managers like they used to. They really don't. I don't know if any of them have managers anymore. Because remember, they used to tell actors would be told, you don't say that in public. Don't. They just have like diarrhea of the mouth. And they just say whatever they want. And the executives think and do things whatever they want. And they, they're detached from the middle of the country, which is a bulk of where they get their money, where we live, And they like to look down on us. And it's like, I don't know, man, we're pretty smart dudes. Why are you looking down on us? And then on top of that,
some of their talent actually comes from the Midwest. I mean, look, James Gunn, no matter how you feel about the guy.
St. Louis guy.
He's a Midwest guy.
Right down the road from us.
So...
And we've got a lot of actors from here.
Yeah.
This town. Brad Pitt, Kathleen Turner, Goodman.
John Goodman. Who's also from St. Louis, just like James Gunn. And look, you can call it whatever you like. In the end, a lot of the studios just need to really solidly get their act together, which is the main difference between Kevin Feige and almost pretty much everybody else right now. He knows what he wants to do, and he knows how to balance
being a fan with the professionalism and the know-how to allow to tell good stories. And that's really what fans want. We're not asking for magic. We're not asking for fairy dust. We're asking for good, solid stories. That's all. And that's all really I've ever said about any of these franchises, whether it be Star Wars, Star Trek, any of the comic book franchises. For me, I thought that a lot of what Zack Snyder did was good. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was good. Well, in my opinion, way better than everything I ever tried to do with the X-Men franchise, which was just cursed from the very beginning. But that was a combination of a really bad CEO, Tom Rothman, and Laura Shula Donner and a lot of the other people that came after, and a few people that should have known better. So, they've taken enough of my money, and I'm glad.
And that's the fatigue you're seeing.
Yeah.
Because they've separated themselves from a built-in fan base.
Yeah.
You've got a fan base that really are hungry to see these things.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong, because Susan's going to be ranting about some of this stuff on Thursday.
Yeah.
And one of the things she's been talking about with her last rant was how some of these fans can actually spoil things. And we're seeing that right now with Bruce Campbell's show.
Yeah.
And because he's now on Ripley's Believe It or Not. I've watched every episode. I love it. I think he's hilarious. Great host for the show. But the numbers are dropping. And the reason why, apparently, and this is no secret to Bruce himself because he talked about it, is that some of these fans feel like they can punish him into coming back to Ash. And it's like, well, where were you when Ash was on the air? You were pirating the show. Oh, well, that's not going to give me the ratings I need to keep my show going.
That's right.
He retired. And then those same fans are refusing to see this new show because they want him back on Ash.
Oh, you mean they're butthurt?
Yeah. I don't understand that. Now, I understand the grief that people have over the Marvel stuff or the stuff they have over Star Wars in particular, because that just was a debacle. But that's where you get these studios that say, screw the fans, we got this. They don't know how to run this ship. They'll follow no matter what. No, that's not how fan bases work.
Yeah,
you need to work with your fans. That's what Kevin Feige gets.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige works with his fans.
That's right. And he works for the fans. And hey, here's a little surprise. He started out as a fan.
That's right. That's why he wears those goofy hats.
Yeah. And
so
he can afford to do that now.
It's this whole, right now you have this whole budget versus reality versus expectation with these studios. Because Disney, it understands a great deal of reality, but when they start adding some of these elements into their films, or allow the studios to do it, because they give a lot of rope. And they tell people, this is all we want. Bring us money. We paid for you. Go do your thing. Bring us money. If you don't, you're going to be quietly fired or removed from your position and basically be put as a figurehead.
Look, Bob Iger...
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, Bob Iger gets it. You bring in all these people, they should know what they're doing. I mean, when you buy a company, everybody should be professional. They should know what the heck they're doing. Bob Iger shouldn't have to spend a majority of his day looking over people's shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is look how they vetted Kevin Feige before he got that job. They did not do that with Kathleen Kennedy. I think it was off of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, having worked with her, that they just was, oh, well, if you're good with her, you go ahead, you put her in charge, and then we'll sign the paperwork. And then, of course, you find out that everything she promised to the fan base and to George Lucas, she reneged on all of it and made it one of the most woke things in the world. And George Lucas was notorious for putting stuff in his stories that were contemporary and important about our world. Okay? But she felt she could do it better, and look what happened. And the fans rejected it.
And maybe even Mark Hamill himself. So he's had.
Yeah, he's done. It's like I've seen 2 interviews with him now. It's like, no, I really don't want to do anymore. I'm done. I hope they don't bring me back. I mean, he actually said those words. I hope they don't bring me back.
It's because, look, I can make a counter argument as to why they didn't try to focus too much on the original actors. I was thinking about it the other day because I think we had talked about Star Trek, and the first time I heard about how when you make a movie, how as certain actors get older, one of the realities of making a movie becomes insurance. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I learned about that with Star Trek 6, really Star Trek 5, because before that movie went into production, James Doohan had been in the hospital for heart problems. And the reality is that in order to get him into the film, they had to take out a huge life insurance policy that was for the benefit of the movie. When you take out a huge life insurance policy, it's basically to do one of 2 things. If you are the lead, that is to at least have enough money to pay all your bills to be able to, get what, the people that are working on it to get what they're owed. And the other thing is to be able to figure out a way of also finishing the film, and or finding someone else to either be in it, recast it, you know what I mean. So if someone were to die, like in this case, if James Doohan, who didn't, but if he were to have passed away during the making of the film, they would have had to figure out a way of shooting around him so that it didn't affect the end result.
Yep.
Well, that's what you have with the Star Wars films. When you really look at it, I'm not sure about Mark Hamill's health, but you have 2 other actors, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, both of whom had a lot of health problems. To have all 3 in the film would have skyrocketed the budget because of the amount of life
for the insurance. Yeah.
Just for the insurance, which is the real reason why they stopped making Star Trek films with the classic television cast. Because then eventually, basically, you were dealing with all these actors who you love seeing, but it was way too expensive to have them on film anymore because you had to insure every single member of the cast.
Yep. So,
with Star Wars, I'm thinking that's part of the reason why they went the direction that they did. Now, would I have liked to have seen them together? Yes. I think the story would have been way better if you started with the original classic characters. And that I agree with.
And then hand it off as you move through the second film,
and they would have
becomes more dominant to the other characters.
That's right. That would have worked out excellent. And see, and if you needed to kill off Han Solo, you could have done it still in the first movie, but had him with the other 2 characters at that same time.
Yeah, to not have them together was a huge like what the hell were you doing? What were you thinking?
Now I can understand that you were trying to make the movies cheap, but there's also something to be said for, you were able to get away with having all 3 in the same film. Technically, because Mark Hamill is in the first movie.
In the last scene.
But to not have all 3 on screen, on set, in the same scene, that's where I think they kind of messed up. And I think it's kind of, it's not that I think that Mark Hamill's bent out of shape about it, but I think he's got good
He never liked that. He never liked that. And by the time we got to the second film, he wasn't even playing Luke anymore. He's playing his cousin Jake.
Yeah.
Jake Skywalker. So, I don't know. It's a mess in Hollywood. It really is. They act like they got their stuff together. They get overly political out there. Look, man, you got 2 guys here are politically different, and we get along. We're close friends. And when you start making it about politics, you start alienating people. And, I talk to this about people all the time. It's like, I remember getting attacked because of my political views over Doctor Who.
Yeah.
you can't be conservative and be a Doctor Who fan. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like everybody can love Doctor Who. It's like I got so much growing up on Doctor Who, and and I'm not really all that conservative, but I am conservative, and but I don't like people holding that against me. Like I'm like some sort of bad person
Or a leper.
or a leper. Having the shingles makes me a leper. I have shingles. I know you can't tell right now, but I've got them. They're not contagious.
Please remember to like, subscribe and comment, as we love to hear back from our viewers. Also, if you enjoy our videos, please consider becoming a patron of our show through Patreon and or GoFundMe. Links are listed below the video in the description.
Y'all come back now, you hear?